Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special Tuesday drop. On Tuesday, we're talking sports this week on December 23rd, 2025, for the special episode 50 holiday episode of Sooner Girl Sports Pod. And when I recorded this episode with Coach Stephanie Cooper just a couple of months ago, I knew I wanted to do something special with it. And I thought this would be a perfect drop for a quote holiday / vacation episode of Sooner Girl Sports Pod, being as Coach Stephanie is the head women's basketball coach at the University of Virgin Islands in St. Thomas. And those who know me personally know that St. Thomas is a favorite vacation spot of mine and my husband's. And that is how Coach Stephanie and I got connected, which I will go into that more later. But I knew I wanted to do something special for the episode with her. And episode 50 to get ready to close out the year is just a perfect scenario. So I cannot wait for you guys to hear this episode with Coach Stephanie Cooper and also celebrate 50 episodes of Sooner Girl Sports Pods. And I would first just like to thank each and every one of you for listening, supporting me, following me, sharing with friends, just all of the things. I would not be here without you guys. It's so crazy to think not even a year ago I had started on this journey. It was about this time last year that I decided to see if I could get social media handles with the name at Sooner Girl Pod on all social platforms, and I was able to do so. And so I quickly secured those and started working out all of the details. But here we are a year later. And I was going to read this later, but I'm going to go ahead and read this now because it's just a super cool reminder of all that I have accomplished this year. First of all, I'm sitting here in a hoodie with my name on it, or the name of my podcast. Also have one with my picture on it, the full logo. It's just crazy all that has transpired in the last year. And I would not be here without each and every one of you listening, sharing, like I said, with friends, inviting people, purchasing my merch, following me on social media, all the things. I cannot thank you enough. But for my 2025 year in review, 51 total podcasts will have been released by the end of this year. I do have one more dropping on New Year's Eve. It's a Crimson Chronicles episode with my friend Dr. Adam Savage. You won't want to miss that one. 18 different sports are covered, including one professional sports team, which is the Oklahoma City Spark. I had Coach Amber Flores, who is a former Sooner, and owner Dr. Tina Floyd on back in the spring. 4 podcaster guests have been on my podcast, 4 radio personalities: Toby Rowland, Tyler McComas, Travis Davison, Chris Plank. 6 coaches, 29 athletes, 7 women behind the scenes, 5 Crimson Chronicle fan stories. 4 different countries are represented on this podcast this year. Of course, the US, Mexico, Czech Republic, and Mozambique, Africa. 2 Bedlam episodes with my poke husband, Eric. 2 twirlers, our current twirler and former twirler, Kelly Masters. 1 NFL reporter, Stacey Dales. Her episode is coming up after the first of the year. 1 FCA chaplain in Sarah Roberts, the softball chaplain. 1 mascot. I did have a former Boomer Sooner mascot, Maddie Cassidy, on back in the summer. 1 naval ROTC. I had Mariah Gall on back in October to talk about the Run the Game Ball to Texas event. 1 drum major, Hallie McFarland. 1 race car driver / former cheerleader, Taylor Reimer. 1 roughneck little sis, and the first Native American woman to drive the schooner, Brianna Howard, back earlier this fall. Also, countless stories, memories, and friendships made. If you missed my recent social media post, it's both on my personal social media and the podcast, about my locker room, which is my girls only sports community, where amazing relationships have been made this past year. I shared a photo of my friend Robin and Shauna, who are members of the locker room, and we have our online monthly huddles. We have a group chat and many other things, but they were able to meet up this past weekend at the game. And I wanted to share that photo of them that they sent me as they were able to meet up, and also a text that I got that just highlights my meaning behind starting this podcast, this community, and of course, creating the locker room for my fellow women Sooner fans. The text message said, "Our group has made me laugh when I needed it the most. No one quite understands my fanatical ways as a Sooner girl that loves OU, but at last I found my people. Thank you, Larissa, for bringing this group together. I have found my friends I may have never met if not had been for you opening your circle. Boomer Sooner for life." My response to that is, I always say that if you don't fit in somewhere, it's because you haven't found your people yet. Create a whole new table, build a whole new table, make your own space. That led me to start the locker room. And women that I've known for years, such as Robin, and women I just met a year ago, as in Shauna, have connected different walks of life. We don't live in the same place. Some of our members don't even live in the state of Oklahoma, but we have connected and just really bonded and have become such a fun friend group. And I am so thankful for each of these women. They had believed in my mission and what I was doing and the community that I was creating and have truly embraced it. And I wouldn't be here without them, first and foremost. And I wouldn't be here without anybody listening to this podcast, watching my clips online, sharing my posts, tagging people, just joining in. So I truly do thank you. I just wanted to share a huge thank you again on this special episode 50 to everyone who has contributed to how far this podcast has come in a year. And I'm totally excited for 2026, super excited, lots coming up, and I cannot wait to continue this journey with you guys. Okay, first of all, let's move right into the Sooner headlines of the week. A few football tidbits I wanted to share. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles clinched the NFC East back-to-back titles after the Saturday win. That also means that the Cowboys are now out of playoff contention because of that Eagles win. But congratulations to Jalen and the Eagles for clinching that playoff berth. Also, after nearly 2 years out, former Sooner, current Broncos safety Delarian Turner-Yell has made it back. He was elevated from the practice squad this past Sunday. He suffered an ACL tear in Game 17 of 2023 and has spent all the 2024 season on IR. He persevered, and now he has made his season debut in Week 16 here in 2025. So shout out to former Sooner Delarian Turner-Yell. Welcome back to the field. Also, in case you missed it, former Sooners coach Bob Stoops announced his retirement from the UFL. His direct quote is, "After much thought and reflection, I've made the decision to retire from coaching and step away from the game of football. Coaching has been one of the greatest honors of my life, and closing this chapter comes with a lot of gratitude." So shout out to Coach Stoops. We all know he's special to the Sooners, and congratulations on your third retirement now. Maybe this one will stick. I don't think you can be still for too long, but congratulations. Also, a couple of invites accepted by our current Sooner players to play in some postseason honorary bowl games. Grayson Halton was invited to and accepted to play in the East-West Shrine Bowl, and Robert Spears Jennings accepted his invite to play in the Hula Bowl All-Star game, and Grayson Halton and Owen Heineke received and accepted their Senior Bowl invite. So congratulations to those guys. Also wanted to throw in real quick a little side note about Owen Heineke and his eligibility. That's been some of a topic here recently. So the short version is this. He has appealed with the NCAA to receive another year of eligibility to play football. If he receives that, he has said that he would strongly consider coming back to play for OU. He obviously would not go play anywhere else, but he is also navigating the waters and negotiating with his draft stock and so on. But he has put that appeal in with the NCAA, and here's the reason why he was able to do that. He used up his first year of collegiate eligibility playing as a walk-on lacrosse player at Ohio State. He only played for maybe 10 minutes total. Every sport is different as far as how you use your eligibility. Football, you can play 4 games and still redshirt, still save a year of your eligibility. Baseball, softball, basketball, apparently lacrosse, other sports, you step onto the field and you burn it. So if you play 5 minutes or 500 minutes, doesn't matter. Burns a year of eligibility. But it's just kind of crazy. Toby Rowland was talking about this on the post game. Feel like there should be some sort of uniform rule here instead of it being just all over the place, because yeah, you take one dribble on the court and you've burned a red shirt, but Somebody can play 4 whole entire football games and still redshirt. Seems crazy. Anywho, Heineke's still awaiting that decision from the NCAA to see if his minute contribution as a walk-on lacrosse player at Ohio State will continue to count to burn 1 year of his eligibility. And then, of course, once he gets that answer, he will decide on if he will return or not. So we are awaiting that. It was noted last Monday in practice before our game against Alabama that Kendall Doby was nowhere to be found, and we later found out why, which was honestly really no surprise. But Kendall Doby has entered the transfer, or plans to enter the transfer portal. There's lots of announcements coming out of those who are entering the portal. The portal technically does not open until January 2nd, but these kids are just announcing their intention to do so when that time comes. But Kendall Doby was a key player for Oklahoma in 2023 before suffering a major leg injury in 24. In his career, he had 68 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 interceptions. He will now have 1 year of eligibility remaining. We also have 2 other Sooners who have entered the portal in Kobe McKenzie and Isaiah Autry-Dent. Isaiah, not a huge surprise, I suppose, not getting much playing time, but he is a second cousin, I believe, of Marcus Dupree that I had on the podcast back in November, and we talked about that. But Kobe McKenzie was a little shocking to see on Sunday when that announcement came out that he was going into the portal. But I think there's a lot of factors that go into that. There's been rumors that he's going to head back toward the Texas Tech, Lubbock, Amarillo area. He is from that area. Maybe he wants to play at home for one last season. There's also some rumors going around that maybe he's trying to gauge his NFL stock to see if he were to go in the draft, what it would look like for him this year, or does he need some more playing time to prove himself? If he does need more playing time, it might behoove him to go somewhere else where he would be able to do so, hence Texas Tech perhaps. So there's a lot of speculation there, but he is engaged to our former softball standout, Kinsey Hansen. For those of you who don't know, they are getting married just after the first of the year. She's playing for the OKC Spark this summer, softball. So there's lots of things to factor in here on what all that means. But Kobe is a Sooner. That couple is Sooner DNA for sure. So I wish them the best, absolutely, but I'll be curious to see how things kind of pan out there for Kobe going forward. Also, a little tidbit I wanted to point out going into the Alabama game, CBS Sports ranked the 25 best players in the college football playoff. OU had 0 players listed, not 1 player listed. It was just crazy. And of course, reading that, looking back in hindsight now is perhaps kind of comical, but going into the game, definitely was wondering why Tate Sandell wasn't on that list, or even R. Mason Thomas, somebody that there wasn't one Sooner that stood out of all the playoff teams. Seems a little crazy, but like I said, in hindsight, it's somewhat comical, I suppose. But OU made its 27th consecutive bowl post-game appearance, the longest streak in school history, beginning in Bob Stoops' 1999 debut season as head coach. It's the second longest active streak in the nation. Also, Friday's matchup against Alabama marked the latest home game of the calendar year in Oklahoma's 131-year history. The previous latest home game came in 1985 when Barry Switzer Sooners beat SMU 35-13 on December 7th. OU went on to beat Penn State in the Orange Bowl to claim the program's 6th AP national title back in 1985. Fortunately, after this past Friday evening's game, that is not how this season is going to end. And it is somewhat disappointing for sure. I think we had some high hopes going into. We thought we had a pretty easy path to go further and deeper into the playoffs for sure, hosting Alabama at home, a team that we had played before, beaten twice already in the last calendar year, just didn't go our way. The ironic part being everything that went our way in Tuscaloosa just a month ago flipped the script. Everything went against us. Those exact same things went against us in Norman this past Friday night. Still a little in shock from that. It took me a day or so to recover and just sort everything out mentally for sure. But I want to give a huge shout out to Caitlin Fournier. I had her on the podcast earlier last spring talking about all the behind the scenes stuff she does for fan relations for football, softball, and women's gymnastics. But Caitlin and her crew, and there's many other people involved in this. I don't want to go off listing a ton of names because I don't know them personally and I don't want to leave anyone out. But my goodness, just a fantastic experience, atmosphere in Norman at that CFP playoff game. If you weren't there, I don't know that I have the words to describe it. I took so many photos. I took so many videos to share, which I did share on my social media. TikTok just to try to capture the magic of the evening, the whole day, the whole week. And it was just truly hard to do, but they really outdid themselves with this one. Several of my highlights from that day, my favorite memories, the flyover for the Walk of Champions was incredible. That was done because it was too dark at actual kickoff during the national anthem to do that. But that was an amazing way to still be able to include that awesome tradition in game day. Toby Rowland doing the ending of the scene setter live from the press box as he hung out of the press box window during the video before the team ran out. One of my favorite moments for sure. Red Dirt Media did capture that, as well as my 50 Cent memory as well. You can go to Red Dirt Media on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok to see these videos as well. But yes, my third one being 50 Cent comes out of the tunnel between the third and fourth quarters singing Many Men. That was then answered by a touchdown drive. And I don't know that anything will be able to top some of those moments. I cried multiple times during that game, teared up. Just the atmosphere was truly incredible. I hate that the game ended the way that it did, but I don't want all of those things to get overlooked. Caitlin and her crew did a fantastic job, and I just, again, don't want them to get overlooked because it was truly incredible. We had Kyler Murray on the sideline. We had Billy Bowman, Jada Coleman on the sideline. It was just truly an amazing day. I hate the way that it ended, but we started out strong. That first quarter or so was really amazing. Mateer scored a touchdown. That was Oklahoma's first touchdown drive of 50 plus yards or more in more than 5 plays since the Ole Miss game in October. Tate Sandell starts off strong, nails 51-yarder, 8 on 8 of the season, tied the NCAA record for 50-plus yarders in the season, most in the season. Deion Burks with the near fully vertical toe tap catch, just incredible. Again, Mateer was looking really good there and unfortunately throws a pick, and the game gets tied at half, and we lost our 17-point lead that we had gained in the first quarter or so. That was gut-wrenching, you guys. And what's even more gut-wrenching is the stat that I'm about to read. I have not been able to get it out of my head ever since I heard it. Oklahoma is the only team in the CFP history to blow a 17-point lead. We've now done that twice. The 2018 Rose Bowl and then again against Alabama. We don't need to talk about the 2018 Rose Bowl again. We all know my sentiments on that. And now here we are talking about those same sentiments, reliving them in this game. It truly was just insane. The third quarter was terrible. Like I mentioned, 50 Cent coming out between the third and fourth quarter. I truly thought that was a momentum change for us. Sadly, it was not. Sandell ends the game missing not one, but 2 field goals. He had only missed 1 field goal all season. The very first one he kicked the very beginning of the season. And then he sandwiches that on the back end by missing the last 2. But I hope that kid can get over that because he's still the best kicker in college football. I would still put him up against just about anybody. And that kid is massively responsible for at least 2 of our wins this season that even got us to this position in the first place. So Tate Sandell, still giving my kudos to you. Still think you win and deserve the Lou Groza Award. I hate that the season ended like that for him, but hell of a season we had, made a ton of progress. I know the way it ended is going to leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth, especially Oklahoma now being 0-5 in playoff games. Another stat that I don't want to talk about. It really does sting, but our special teams just imploded. Also, Grayson Miller had a dropped punt. I don't really know what happened with that. He just dropped it and it was ridiculous. I don't know what happened. There was also a short punt. Again, those 2 missed field goals. It hurt. The final score 34-24 Oklahoma. We got outscored 34-7. We had a pick 6, a blocked punt, missed field goals. All of those things just added up. Everything that could have gone right for us, as it did in Tuscaloosa, just flipped the script, went wrong for us in Norman. Literally the exact opposite of everything that happened. Since was putting plays together, it just wasn't flowing. It's like we would have a good play, but it wasn't like a series. It just wasn't happening. We just totally beat ourselves with all of the mistakes. It was very frustrating. I hate it for how the season ended, but John Mateer, 26 of 41, 307 yards, 2 touchdowns, interception. He did have a rushing touchdown as well. Torrey Blaylock, 36 yards. Deion Burks, shout out to him for having a great game. 7 catches, 107 yards, and a touchdown. 362 total yards for Oklahoma. Just a gut-wrenching way to end the season. But again, if you would have told me a year ago, after we were sitting there reeling over that loss in the Armed Forces Bowl, that we would be hosting a CFP playoff game sitting at a 10-2 record, I don't know that I would have believed you. And just an incredible improvement over this last year. I realize this is not the standard to OU. The standard to OU is not just to, quote, make it to the playoffs. Obviously, we want to go further and win the whole thing. But unfortunately, only one team ends happy each year, and this year just wasn't our year because we just couldn't get our shit together. Sorry, we couldn't. Our offense is just too hit and miss. And then our special teams just totally failed us at the wrong time. And it happens, but unfortunately it happened to us. But funny story I did want to tell about the post game I listened to on the way home with Toby, Teddy, Gabe, and Plank. They were telling how 50 Cent flew into Norman to be a part of this. And he actually didn't get to Norman until after the game started. They got him to the stadium. He hung out in Coach Venable's office. They were talking about the guy that was like, quote, put in charge of him during the game, hung out with him in Brent Venable's office, explaining to him like, hey, this is why you're doing this. This is how I want you to do it. Here's the microphone, mic drop, the whole thing. And apparently 50 Cent, when he came out, said, let's light this bleeping place up. So it's just really funny. He comes out in the OU hoodie. It was just truly a special moment. But again, just a sad ending, but also a good ending because nobody in their right mind thought we'd be sitting here talking about hosting a CFP game. So I hate that it turned out the way that it did, but we've just come so far in a year. And again, last year after our loss in that bowl game, I was really sitting here going, I think I want to have a podcast. I love talking about sports, not just football, but all sports. And I remember sitting down and just recording and writing down some thoughts after that. And that's kind of what birthed my whole project and where we are today. So just what a year it's been, and I wouldn't change it for anything. And I'm very hopeful for next season for sure. Okay, moving on to men's basketball. Last Tuesday night, 67 win over Kansas City. Xavier Robinson, 21 points. Nigel Pack, 15. Darion Reed, 15 points. Mo Wiggy, 11. Also, Jaden Tay, Kai, Kowal, and Jeff, and Dayton Forsyth all had contributions as well. Again, Dayton Forsyth is sitting out today's game as I'm recording this on Monday the 22nd. And then they also play on Monday the 29th versus Mississippi Valley State at home if you want to check that out over the holidays. Our women are also at home today. They're actually about to play right now as I'm recording this. And then they do not play again until after the first of the year. But our women, 4-time Freshman of the Week award for Elia Chavez, a third straight SEC Freshman of the Week honor. Reagan Beers is also SEC Player of the Week. So shout out to those girls. Again, they are playing today on Monday, the 22nd. And then they are off the hook until after the first of the year. Also, quick shout out to our women's gymnastics squad, preseason number 1. Season tickets are on sale, of course, and also single meet tickets are now on sale as well. So get on Soonersports.com and snag yours. A quick shout out for our wrestling squad as well. They had 3 duels and 3 wins at home just yesterday on Sunday, the 21st. Sooners match their best start through 8 duels since the 2013-14 season. Sunday, 41-9 over Tarleton. Peyton Keller's first win as a Sooner. And we also had a 23-13 win over SIUE and the Sunday sweep, 46 win over Duke. Just a great day for our wrestling. They are ranked number 15 in the coaches poll, and there are several individual rankings as well. Also, tennis, the men's schedule was announced and released just a few days ago. So be sure and check that out. If you get a chance this spring, several home opportunities to go see my friend Bruno Naveen. I had him on the podcast this summer. He's such a fun guy to watch play tennis and just an excellent human being. Can't wait to get out and support those guys. Also, shout out to our girls tennis player, Julia Garcia Ruiz. I actually interviewed her for an episode of the podcast that will be coming out after the first of the year, but I want to give a quick fall rewind on Julia and her activities this past fall, which we do talk about in the episode. So can't wait for you guys to hear this one. NCAA qualifier, ITA singles All-American, ITA Central Regional Singles co-champ, and her final ranking is number 24 in singles and number 32 in doubles. Shout out to Julia Garcia Ruiz. Also, congratulations to the winter graduates. They had graduation this past weekend. Wanted to give a shout out to Sydney Thompson, my volleyball girl. Her episode will be dropping after the first of the year. And Hadley Morrell, soccer player. I had her and Coach Mott on back in the summer, and they both received their diplomas this past weekend. So congratulations to them. Also a shout out to Ralford Mullings, who is a member of OU Track and Field. He and his wife, Maggie Mullins, are coming to the podcast soon. So shout out to them, all receiving their degrees this weekend as well. For my Sooner MVP of the week, I am going to give it to our wrestling squad for, again, matching their best efforts through 8 duels since the 2013-14 season. That is amazing. Shout out to Coach Roger Kish and DJ Parker, who I had on the podcast just about a month ago, and all of the wrestling team. Just shout out to them. Congratulations on your great start to the season. And I cannot wait to see more of you as the season goes on. Again, Bedlam Wrestling is in Stillwater on Sunday, January 11th. It's going to be a fantastic time. I will be there. My husband's a Poke, so we love all things Bedlam. Can't wait to make it up there to see the guys support our Sooners in a very hostile environment in Stillwater. So can't wait for that one. Okay, my Sooner fun fact of the week. At the end of her freshman season in 2005-2006, OU women's basketball player Courtney Paris became the only player in NCAA history, male or female, to have 700 points, 500 rebounds, and 100 blocks in a single season. I also wanted to give a quick shout out on here about my 1-year celebration for my podcast that is coming up on Thursday, February the 5th. And it will be from 6 to 8 p.m. at Coach's Corner in Norman. I have invited all of my previous guests, coaches, athletes, all the people to come. It's going to be come and go. If you can come and join us for cake cutting and cheers at 6:30 p.m. and stay to visit and enjoy a meal. My friends at Coach's Corner are truly incredible. Corey and Terry Wilson. Corey is a former OU football player from back in the 90s. He has a wonderful restaurant. I love Coach's Corner. I've never had anything bad there. They are truly the kindest people ever. I cannot wait to celebrate. I have lots of fun things in store. So again, mark your calendars for Thursday, February 5th, 6 to 8 p.m. at Coach's Corner in Norman. I would love to see you there. Bring a friend. Come celebrate with me. Come support me. Let's cheer on the podcast to another great year. You can find all of the information about this on my Facebook page on the event that's pinned to the top of the Sooner Girl Sports Pod Facebook page. I hope that you will go and RSVP and share with a friend, invite a friend, and I do hope to see you there for sure. Okay, again, thank you guys so much for your overwhelming support. I truly cannot thank you enough. Go get your merch, soonergirl.bigcartel.com. Go join the locker room. Check out my social media post regarding that. Girls, it's a great gift. It's $50 annual subscription or $5 a month. It's a great gift for your favorite Sooner lady in your life. Go follow me on all social media at Sooner Girl Pod. Go download and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. My link in bio is my link tree on all social media. You can find all of the information about all of these things right there. So I do, again, thank you so much and appreciate your support. I did want to do a quick rundown on our injury report. I did not get to record with Dr. Lynan this week. It's just a super crazy holiday week. Quick rundown on some injuries that are going on. I think I mentioned last week our former Sooner Wanye Morris had a season-ending knee injury with the Chiefs last week. Unfortunately, the Chiefs are out of playoff contention. Also, I did want to mention Dayton Forsyth. He rolled his other ankle in the basketball game last week. He came down on another player's foot. He did have an x-ray. It's all clear. So he's just dealing with some ankle issues there. He is not playing at the non-conference game. He's going to give himself a little rest, so he'll be ready to go into the conference play that starts on January 3rd. I also wanted to mention, if you missed last week's interview with former gymnast Danae Fletcher, please go back and give it a listen. We talk about her medical retirement, her injuries, the mental aspect of it, and just everything that plays into that medical retirement. So just a really neat conversation that I had with her. And there's just lots to consider with these athletes that we don't always think about. So I wanted to throw that out there. to go back and give that a listen. Danae was supposed to be back on the roster this season with our gymnastics girls, but unfortunately, injuries just got the best of her and she wasn't able to recuperate as much as she wanted to. So she did medically retire. But I want to give a quick shout out to Danae. Again, if you missed my conversation with her last week's episode, please go back and give it a listen. You will not be disappointed. Also, just wanted to mention real quick on the injury front what Brent Venables said about John Mateer's thumb. And I know it's hindsight now, it's neither here nor there, but I didn't want it to get overlooked. He wasn't wearing any wrapping on his hand last week in practice or during the game, and that was the first time that we had seen that since before his injury. But Venables pointed out that he is still not pain free. There's still pain, there's still soreness and stiffness and all that. Apparently, he was getting injections in his thumb to help the pain, which therefore made his thumb numb. So that explains some things. Can you imagine on your throwing hand throwing a football with a numb thumb? So yeah, just crazy. What a tough guy John Mateer is. He really went through it this season, and it didn't end how any of us thought it was going to end, especially with him. And I like the kid. I think he's a hard worker. I think he's tough. I think him and Arbuckle have a lot of potential. To have the same OC and quarterback at OU for more than one season is going to be a huge advantage for us, assuming that all those cards continue to play out like they're supposed to. So can't wait to see how that goes. But if you missed the segment on College Game Day about Mateer, where they interviewed him, he talked about the thumb injury. You can go on ESPN College Game Day social media to catch that clip. It's just about 3 or 4 minutes. But just give us a little insight on the fact that these players are human and they deal with a lot of stuff. So it's a really neat little segment there. So luckily, not a lot to discuss on the injury front. Nothing serious really going on. Super thankful for that. But I will continue to connect with Dr. Lennon throughout basketball and the diamond sports, gymnastics this spring into the year. You never know what's going to come up. But again, nothing huge to discuss. No body parts we haven't talked about before. But again, I just want to thank Dr. Lennon for joining me. He's been on most weeks with me, like 10 or 11 weeks, recording, talking about injuries. So I'm super thankful for him. Also, fingers crossed that we don't have a lot of injuries to even talk about going forward. Okay, moving into our interview with Stephanie Cooper, I would like to introduce you to our guest. Coach Cooper is in year 16 of coaching, and she has had stops at powerhouse programs like Duncanville High School in the DFW area and Florida Memorial University. She has experience at all levels, including pro and coaching at McDonald's All-American. She strives for greatness on and off the court and is an advocate for girls and youth sports. After 3 years of helping serve, she was also recently named the Director of Operations for the She Hoops organization. She brings elite organizational skill, leadership, and a deep love for the game in the She Hoops movement. From player development to event execution, she is the one making it all run smooth behind the scenes. Structure fuels success. When the foundation is solid, greatness follows. So shout out to Coach Stephanie Cooper for coming on the podcast. Little story on how we connected. So as I mentioned earlier in the episode, my husband and I like to vacation in St. Thomas. I just so happened to put one of my podcast cards up at one of the coffee places that we frequent there on the island. I got a message on Instagram from Coach Stephanie late last summer. And she was like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. I'd love to be on your podcast. And I was like, you know what? I normally only talk to OU people. My whole podcast is about Sooner sports, but I'm not going to turn down an opportunity to talk to another badass trailblazing woman who has made a name for herself and made a difference in women's sports. And my conversation with her was truly inspiring, truly touching. I enjoyed visiting with her, connecting with her. We've remained friends on social media, and I cannot wait to go back to St. Thomas next year. I'm hoping to connect with her and possibly even see her team play if they are playing at home when we are there. Cannot wait for you guys to hear this segment with Coach Stephanie Cooper. You can find her on both Twitter and Instagram. Her Twitter handle is at Coach S Cooper 23, and her Instagram is at OVO_23. I will put that in the show notes, of course. Tag her on social media and all the things all throughout the week with her clips. And again, you guys, thanks again so much for listening. And I hope that you share this episode with a friend. This is a very special episode to me, not only just episode 50, holiday episode, St. Thomas guest. It doesn't get any better than that. And I wouldn't be here without all of you guys. So thanks again so much. I hope you guys enjoy this episode with Coach Stephanie Cooper, and we will be back to regular programming next week on Wednesday, which is New Year's Eve, and we will talk sports. I am so glad that you reached out to me. When I saw your message, I got so excited and I was like, I have to work this in my lineup because this is an incredible opportunity to chat with you. And then you sent me your bio and I was reading up about you, and you've had quite the career so far. So I can't wait to hear all about it.
Thank you.
Thank you for reaching out to me and wanting to talk, because I think, obviously, like you said, you're wanting to raise awareness about women's sports and the opportunities that are available around the world. And I love that. So I can't wait to hear all about it. So let's talk about you first. So we can back up a little bit and just talk about your basketball history, your love for the sport, and kind of how you got involved, and which, however far you want to go.
I love that you have the St. Thomas shirt on too. That's what I'm talking about. That's
Yes, ma'am.
recording journalism right there.
I don't get an
So
opportunity to wear much else other than my OU gear on the podcast, so I had to take the green light.
yes, I can appreciate it.
Of course.
So my journey really started as a student athlete myself. Just playing the game early, being around sports as a youth, and then I really got serious about it in sixth grade, like in middle school. Once, like I just had a really good coach that kind of just took me in under her wing, and I was a little knucklehead back then in middle school. So
Aren't we
I
all?
think, yeah, especially athletes, like our personality, most of us are just so outgoing and like personable. So, we're cool with everybody, I feel like,
That's right. Yes,
at that young
absolutely.
age. So really just being around her, and that was the first time when I was like, I can really do this seriously and make a career out of it.
Yeah.
Before then it was just, being outside, playing around all the time, like with my brothers, my sisters, those siblings.
Mm-hmm.
But just through her mentorship and her guidance, like I said, middle school really kickstarted. And then when I started getting interest for like high schools and going to what they back then would say like one of the top high schools in Garland at the time for the sport, not to say like, and it was really good in academics as well. So just having that opportunity to go to a different school, to hoop ultimately,
Yeah.
really gave me that again seriousness, and I was like, okay, this is for real. And that was really just the introduction into the game, and I just love being around it. Just playing basketball, I played AAU, and we were like on a national team at the time, so we were able to travel and go to like Florida and all these different places. And that was like the first time I would leave the States, and
Oh,
really
nice.
excited for the summer ball because I knew that we'd be able to go on vacation and make vacation out of it
Yes. Oh, that's
while
cool.
playing the game of basketball. So it's like ultimately fast forward, still doing it today.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then as far as like injuries, I tore both my ACLs when I got to high school.
Oh, man.
So at that point I really wasn't looking at getting recruited or anything like that. Especially like my junior year, there was nothing, and then that was the second time I tore my ACL.
Oh,
The other
gosh.
one. Yeah. So by that point, going back to my mentor, and she was like, well, just go to college, and at this point just get your degree, and if you want to coach. And in
Yeah.
Texas, in order to coach, you got to teach. So that was my
Yeah.
goal, was just to be a PE teacher and or go that route, which actually I was a history teacher more so than in all of my times in high school. Yeah, I was only in PE like 1 year in high school, which is
Oh,
crazy.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's really like what I wanted to do. But they try to take advantage of us coaches and put us in
Yes,
those
they do.
subjects. We have really good discipline and classroom
Yep.
management.
That's right. They
Right.
know.
That was really cool. So I just knew in college I was already going to be a coach. So my route was a little bit different opposed to those who, played and then like gave back or
Yeah.
retired and coming back into it. So really different
Yeah.
perspective for me because I was always like learning the game from a different perspective as the coaching and like just
Right.
the everything, the holistic approach that goes into it, just being a teacher myself.
Awesome. Wow. And so that is crazy to think that, I mean, we hear injuries all the time. They're pretty common, but it's just crazy to think that that happened and it could have derailed you, but you were like, no, I still love the sport and I want it to be a part of my life. And so you just decided to make it a part of your life in a different way. So that's really cool that you did
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
So tell me a little bit about your coaching experience. And
Mm,
you have quite the coaching resume for many years. So yeah,
yeah.
let's hear all about it.
So my right out of graduation, it was a grind. I think maybe a couple of months I was into the workforce, like the human resources is what I would have done. So I
Mm-hmm.
actually had a job with the Health and Human Services, like food stamp office,
Okay.
Medicare, like one of those. And in the meantime, I was just like, I'm applying like crazy, trying to land a teaching and coaching job. Um,
Yes.
what was crazy was I was able to get with my health and human service job,
Uh-huh.
right? So I had went to training. I was like, okay, I guess this is what I'm gonna do. So they paid me to go to training for like 6 weeks in Austin, put me up in a hotel. Great. At the same time, I was still sending emails like trying to get into the
Right.
school system. So after I completed the training, I had to go to another training back in Dallas, and it was in Pleasant Grove. And so still applying to schools, and I was putting in applications, maybe like 10, just so many, reaching out to principals and all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So into my training, I'm in Pleasant Grove, which Dallas, Texas, the Gritty Grove is just not a pretty safe community. Okay.
Right.
And so I was sitting in my training and I got a call from a principal. No, actually from the athletic director. And she was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, I got your resume, got your email. Can you come meet with me like today? We're getting into the cutoff time
Oh wow.
to be able to hire." And I was like, "Okay." She sent me the address. I was literally 4 minutes down the street,
Oh my gosh, how
like four
crazy.
minutes. So I'm looking and I was like, okay.
Okay.
So the supervisor, hey, I gotta go right now. So drove literally 4 minutes, and I've never really been to this city, and that's why the story with itself is like cool.
Right.
So I went, I met with her, and got offered the job like right there, and then I had to go downtown and get processed. And welcome to Dallas ISD H. Grady
Wow.
Spruce High School.
Oh
And
my
so it was my
gosh.
first teaching and head coaching opportunity in
Nice.
one. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Welcome to it.
Welcome to it. And those people who know, if you know anything about DISD and H. Grady Spruce at the time, it was one of their like less developed high school, the income driven type high school.
Mm-hmm.
It was, it was a battle for everything, just lack of resources, no
Mm-hmm.
players really. I think they only had maybe 6 or 7
Oh
that
wow.
were on the roster, just one team, not even like a varsity JV. So it was a
Wow.
true like, we need someone to come in here, rebuild, and do that. And I was there for 3 or 4 years, 3 years, and just kind of change that program. Like
Wow.
we were able to get up 2 teams. We started doing really well within the conference. And back
Mm-hmm.
then we had to play like the Lincoln High School, which they just won the UIL championship
Oh wow.
last season, I believe.
Oh wow.
But yeah, like they were the top dogs at the time. And so we were last seed the first year, and it was just culture, building the culture,
Right.
building blocks. But I was able to turn that program around, and then got involved with like just AU and youth sports. And so I started doing a lot of youth camps around the city with the Mavericks. And the Wings were not here at the time. So yeah, it was just like the
Okay.
Mavericks, just
Yeah.
recreation leagues and those type of things. And
Yeah.
started training and getting into the AU world and training with those players. And I got a call from Kathy Self Morgan at Duncanville High School.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "Hey, I have an opening, just hearing good things about you, and like send me your resume and all of that." And was able to go from a bottom, you know, type school to the top
Mm-hmm.
program,
Wow.
not just in Texas, but in the nation. Like,
Yeah.
at this time they had already came from a championship, coming off of a championship.
Oh wow.
Kathy Self Morgan is a Hall of Fame coach.
Yes,
You know what
I
I mean?
recognize that name.
Yeah. And so it was just like night and day, but that really helped shape and guide me the rest of my career. So from
Wow.
there, I was able to just walk into a championship program, and we have these high school players that are just all Division 1 athletes. They're dedicated. They're beating me to
Wow.
the gym. They're asking us like, when can we, get in the gym? And it was just 24/7 basketball. And at Duncanville, there was no time off as far as like tournament plays and all of that. Like
Uh-huh.
we were hosting Sandra Meadows. It was a lot. And so at the same time, I was still around with the youth leagues and those things. And actually, when I was at Spruce, so before Duncanville, I got an opportunity to work at Paul Quinn College, and I was the assistant coach there, and then ended up being the interim head coach. So that was like my first coaching
Yeah.
opportunity at the same time I was in high school.
Wow.
This was before, and so that was one way that Coach Self heard about me too, was through the
Uh-huh.
college, yeah, through the college coaching,
Wow.
and so that was really cool. And that actually, my time at Paul Quinn motivated me to go back to college because I wasn't able to get hired on full time because I didn't have my master's at the time.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I only had the bachelor's degree, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't plan on it. I was one of those like, I got my bachelor's, I'm good. I got
Right.
no one wants to go back to school
No.
for another 2 years. When I got the taste of the collegiate level and just that schedule, I was like,
Uh-huh.
okay, this is what I love. So
Uh-huh.
when I got called for Duncanville, I was also enrolled in the master's program.
Oh wow.
And so just doing double duty, you know what I mean? And I'm a mom too, so my son was in like middle school at the time. So these are
Oh my
just a hard
gosh.
time just to like balance
Yeah.
everything as a single parent, but I made
Oh,
it work. Yeah, and I just grinded it out, and we were blessed to win a championship that year, and I got my master's degree the same year.
that's incredible.
Yeah. So it was really good. And then from there, I started applying to college jobs. Wasn't really getting like a hit on, and I was, but the money, just isn't what people think it is at the collegiate level with some
Mm-hmm.
of these small schools.
So
So I was
true.
making more in high school, and I got the
Wow.
opportunity to be at Grand Prairie and GPISD. And that was a similar situation, just a low performing sports school, but turned that program around too. I was there for 4 years. And by this time, my son was in high school. And I just told him, like, hey, when you graduate and go off to college, I want to go and explore and get out of
Yes.
Texas, and like really get my feet wet, not just in the collegiate coaching world, but just to get out of Texas. I've been there all my
Yeah.
life.
Your
Yeah.
whole life. Yeah.
And so I was had it up to go to Florida. Like Florida was in my mind. I just wanted the
Uh-huh.
warm weather all
Uh-huh.
year long, and
Right.
not be in South Beach. So I was able to get certified, and even that's a good thing with being a teacher. You can especially in Texas, like our
Yeah.
certification goes across the state level,
Yes.
so I didn't have to like retest or anything like that. I just
Nice.
apply for it. So now I'm certified in Florida and Hawaii because of the weather.
Awesome.
And
Heck yeah.
yeah. So got an opportunity to get out there and coach at Florida Memorial. And then
Wow.
so it's just been just in the right places in the right time, but also with the networking and those things. And I've just had some incredible players, some incredible coaches. I'm just giving back. And my time at Florida Memorial, we ended up winning the championship there as well that year under
Oh my
Coach
goodness.
Back. And first year in Florida, first collegiate or second college, but real like full time now.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so that was a blessing within itself. We had a really good year, had player of the year, we won the conference and the tournament. So that was like really good. And
Wow.
the cool thing now is one of my players from Florida, two of them, one I recruited to come with me here to
Cool.
UVI. And now I was able to bring in my grad assistant was a
Okay.
player of the year. So she's back with me too. So it's like three
Oh,
of
that's
us.
cool.
Yeah, from FMU. And that's
That's
how I
really
found
cool.
out about University of Virgin Islands. So when
Huh?
we played UVI preseason, and just the networking and always just being kind to people, you never know
Oh,
who's watching or
absolutely.
how it's going to come back. So when they had
Yep.
an opening, the men's coach called and he was like, hey, we got a women's position. I know you like to be in the water. This is the ideal location. Come out to UVI. And now I'm here.
That is crazy. Well, you just in a nutshell just explained why I wanted to talk to you because you're a badass. I mean, my goodness, but I can't quit thinking about you talking about your back to the beginning kind of and building up that program and how you
Yes.
had no resources hardly and no players and you
Hmm.
had to go out and I'm sure do some sort of fundraising or something or find a way to get the equipment and things that you needed and then also go out and find the players and
Yeah.
build that passion in them and
Hmm.
that desire and build up that team. And wow, that's a lot of work
Yes.
mentally and physically, all the things. But my goodness, girls need people like you because your love for the game and your passion is very obvious. And you're clearly good at what you do. And so girls need that. They need people like you as a role model and people like you working your ass off to make a difference in the sport and in their lives and just in general. And so that's super cool. Like I said, I just can't quit thinking about you building that up from nothing, basically. I
Mhm.
mean, I can't imagine how much work that was. And it
Yes,
had
thank
to have
you.
been exhausting at
Yeah,
times, I'm sure.
it was. And that first year really shaped my career because after
Uh
that,
huh.
I felt like I guess just my purpose in life is to do just that. Even with being at EVI, it was the same reason that I came and that it was attracted to me. And just like with
Yeah.
GP was, I just see potential in people and places, and I just feel like the things that I have to be able to coach them up,
Yeah.
and we can just turn anything around. And so it just comes with the dedication, the hard work, and like the grit of it all.
Yes. I well, and I also love too what you said about networking and being
Hmm.
kind to people because
Oh yes.
everything is full circle, and that's so true because that's just basically life principles.
Hmm.
And the faster people learn that, the better off they'll be. And it's hard sometimes. I'm sure
Yeah.
there were times when you were tired and frustrated and you didn't feel like being nice or
Hmm.
whatever. But yeah, just putting yourself out there and getting your name heard and seen and just being nice to people and it got you to freaking St. Thomas. So I mean, that's a pretty good place to be.
Yeah.
So and just obviously you've attained a lot in your life, so that's incredible. So I did see that you mentioned the McDonald's All American team.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, so at Duncanville, Zay Green, which she was actually entered, she was drafted in the WBA this
Mm-hmm.
past season,
Okay.
and now she's playing overseas.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, so she was in that program for 4 years, and I was able to be on that staff. But that
Oh,
was a really
cool.
cool experience because that year, like I said, they had in her college career, I think she went like 3 out of 4 that senior class, and all of them went
Wow.
Division 1, and
That's
like they're all
awesome.
still playing, and if they're not playing pro, they're coaching now and being grad assistants.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah, like I know Anaya, she was a Jayhawk, so she went to Kansas,
Okay.
and was actually brought back for the grad assistant. We didn't get anyone to go to Oklahoma, unfortunately,
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
but they
There's
were
lots
there. Yeah, they were there. They
there's
had the offers for sure.
Yeah, there's so many great programs, and it's crazy. I've just recently talked to two current Oklahoma women's players,
Mm.
and just talking about the sport in general and how far it's come in the last handful of years, just the women's side of it. But I mean, I love basketball. I do. It's not my first love of sports for
Mhm.
sure, but it's definitely grown on me. I would say probably in the last 10 to 15 years. And I love March Madness, but what I love about it is the women just got to start using the March Madness tag
Right.
within the last 5 years or so, I think. I mean, it
Yeah.
hasn't been too terribly long. So my point of that is I love talking to women like yourself and then players that have made a difference in the sport that are a part of it currently and just seeing how far it's come. And
Mhm.
then you mentioned the Dallas Wings, and I'm not sure how long they've been in Dallas. I mean, I've lost track of
It was
time.
like since 2018 because they were in
Okay,
Oklahoma when they left Tulsa. They were there
right.
and then came there. Yeah.
Okay, so but the WNBA has come so far in
Hmm.
general and just the awareness of it. And it kind of goes back to getting your name out there and
Exactly.
networking and all of that. And of course, I know there's been a lot of big name players that people are always going to follow those certain
Hmm.
players. But, the last handful of years, it's just been very promising to see how far the sport has come. And I saw something, but it was a handful of games. I don't remember the exact amount, but a decent amount of games that ESPN were committing to broadcasting for the NBA next season.
Okay.
That's a big deal
Yeah.
because, like that's been one of my biggest complaints, I guess you could say,
Hmm.
as far as the WNBA goes right now, is that it's not as accessible
Yes.
as other sports. And it
Right.
might be on another subscription service or something
Mhm.
like that. Or if it's a big game, you'll catch it on a network maybe. But for ESPN to go out and say, hey, we're going to broadcast a decent amount of these games next year, I thought that was a really big deal. And so I was very glad to see that. But anyway, all that to say, I think there's a lot of names. Of course, I know everybody knows Caitlin Clark, and I'm not
Yeah.
discounting what she's done
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I think she deserves her flowers. But, there's a lot of players, a lot of names that carry that weight for the sport. And
Mhm.
I think they all deserve the credit for getting it where it is today.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's people that play overseas. I know there's several former Oklahoma girls that play
Mhm.
overseas. Maddie Williams, Taylor Robertson. I know there's more, but those two off the top of my head. But just playing overseas, that's still a big deal. I mean,
Right.
there's still
They're
opportunity
still
there.
pros, yeah. And it
Yes,
doesn't
they
just stop.
no, it doesn't. And that is something I think that people, and I know this is where you wanted to go and talk about,
Mhm.
is just raising that awareness because a lot of people don't have a clue that there's anything going on. I mean, I guess everybody gets kind of in their bubble, so to speak, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, there's basketball, other teams around the world. Like, where are they playing? What are they doing? And
Yeah.
again, it's hard to follow because it's not as accessible here.
Mhm.
But there's the internet, and that's one of my main things that I tell people when I'm pushing follow women's sports, follow these athletes, follow these quote obscure sports that often get overlooked, like
Mhm.
tennis, volleyball, track and field, soccer, all of those things. Like, I can promise you they have social media accounts. So
Right.
go find your team, find your player,
Exactly.
go follow them. It's you can keep track of them, and
Mhm.
if they are playing overseas and it's 2 o'clock in the morning here in the States or something,
Yeah.
well, I mean, maybe you can watch it later, or at least you can follow and see highlights or something. Like, you can still keep up with your people. So pros
Right.
and cons of social media, but that's definitely one of the pros is, like I said, I push it. Go follow
Mhm.
your people, go see what they're doing, go
Yeah.
find these teams and these players because they're all over the world playing, making a difference, and
Yeah.
a lot of people aren't aware of it. So,
Right. And I mean, even with Florida Memorial, my grad assistant there, Monique, she's now playing for she's from UK and she
oh,
went back
cool.
home and she's playing for the Lady Lions
Uh-huh.
over there and like they're doing really good. They just kicked their
That's
season off,
awesome.
but again, it's just like what? Like there are so many teams. Even out here,
Yes.
when you look into FIBA, that's a whole nother world. Like even here,
Yes. Oh, it is.
yeah, Virgin Islands, we have a national team.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Puerto Rico is big and with their basketball
Mm-hmm.
culture, but Dominican Republic has a women's pro league that they're running right now. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
just so many things that's going on, especially here in the Caribbean, and we have just some um, good leagues and just good
Yeah.
players. And the thing here with VI, like Leah Boston, shout out to her. They
Yes.
just did really good with the Indiana Fever, good run. Um,
Yes.
so Madison Scott, she went to Ole Miss, but she's
Okay.
a Virgin Islands native too. Her parents are from here.
Oh,
So there
cool.
are some people like that represent for their country and their territory.
Yes.
Oftentimes they go to the States, but now we're seeing an influx of people, especially when you get coaches like me in my recruiting. I'm recruiting from the States to come to the Paradise,
Yes.
and there's just so many opportunities out there for these players, and you don't have to be the big names, the D1s, as you were
Exactly.
mentioning earlier. Like there's all levels. Don't just um,
Absolutely.
aim for the NCAA Division One. Like there's NAIA. There's just so many other
Right.
branches and colleges that you can go to that are here and that like have
Yes.
teams and we have budgets and we're doing good things. So it's like
Absolutely.
get your education, study abroad, pretty much.
Yes.
You know what
Oh,
I
my
mean?
gosh. Yes.
And even here, like we have a really good study abroad program too. Like they still have the opportunity to go to other places as well. And it's just a good
Cool.
situation. There's just so many things out there. Like that's why it was cool just to find you and how we were able just to
Yes.
connect, you know what I mean? And that is like the real message that I just want to send to the people in these sports, especially the girls. Like, don't limit yourself. Soccer is huge
Yes.
out here too. Like we have a
Uh huh.
confederation, the soccer federation in St. Croix. And so
Okay.
it's just like, y'all, if you can go anywhere for any sport, just do your
That's
research. And like,
so true.
yeah.
Well, and I've talked about this with other athletes. Even I recall off the top of my head, one of the football players I talked to from OU, Trey Millard, he brought this up as well. He just said, there's so many opportunities to continue playing past high school. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be Division 1, like you said.
Mhm.
There's so many other opportunities. So don't overlook those,
Yeah.
because you just never know where you could end up because of it. And so don't turn it down because it's not a D1 offer or something
Right.
like that. Like, there's so many opportunities. And I think kids have a hard time looking past the big shiny
Mhm.
school, which is understandable. But at the same time, like, if you have that love for the game and that passion and the talent, and you can go play at the next level, like,
Mhm.
that's incredible.
Do
Like, who
it.
gets
Yeah.
to do that? So
Right.
go take advantage of that, because you just never know. And like, my niece is turned 11, and she just got involved with basketball about a year and a half ago. She's fifth grade. So about a year and a half ago, and she loves it.
Mhm.
And she has started going to a couple of different camps. Went to OU, a basketball camp this summer, a Dallas Wings camp, and she is on a travel team. But she started when she was about 9 years old.
Mhm.
And again, I was just like, hey, if this is something that she likes and wants to invest in it and the opportunities there, then you just never know. But I think, too, again, it's going to be something that over the years, it's important to remind her
Right.
and other players, like, I know you love OU. That's great. We can all be OU fans. That's fine.
Yeah.
But there's so much more out there. I mean, we have a local junior college not
Mhm.
far from where we live. It's just, a 2 year college, but they have an excellent softball program. They have basketball, and a lot of players will go there and then later get recruited to go somewhere else. That's
Exactly.
a bigger school. And so you just never know. And so I think it's important, like you said, to remind those kids, hey, you just don't know. Just work hard and figure out if that's what you want to do, make that your goal, and just keep working, because
Yeah.
you just never know. You could end up in St. Thomas someday.
Like, really, yeah. And that's environment is big because it's not and we have really good players. Like the conference, it's not a watered down,
Mm-hmm.
it's actual hoopers that
That's
just chose
awesome.
to be in beach and basketball, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And why not? So
I know, right? Well, and I was going to ask you too where you recruited a lot of your players from. So you do get some from the States, which, like you
yeah,
said, who,
most
who
of
wouldn't want to
majority.
come?
Yeah. So of course I have like my Florida ties, Texas, but I
Right.
recruit really everywhere but California too, just because
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of used to the climate
Uh huh.
over there, and so and it's so many JUCOs and
Yes.
community schools out there too. Like the Florida, those are kind of easier, their proximity, so I get those.
Right. For sure.
And then like Kansas,
Okay.
Atlanta, and that's the
Yes.
first thing that's the first thing I tell those kids. Like, you don't even need a jacket. Leave all your stuff there. You don't
Right.
even know what winter is. Like,
You do not need
you don't
it.
need it. Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, not one time have I been to St. Thomas and wish I had a jacket. That's for
right.
sure. That's just so crazy to think about. Like I said, we've been to St. Thomas. I've lost track of times, and we've actually driven out to the university a time or
Mhm.
two.
Yeah.
I just think if wanted to get out and explore, and I love
Hmm.
the ocean and just
Hmm.
that climate, like, heck yeah, sign me up. So it's
Yep.
really cool. But like I said, I hope I get an opportunity to come see you guys. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
I love sports, but I love supporting women in sports, and just supporting people that often feel like they're overlooked, or
Hmm.
having to work a little bit harder. I love to give people their flowers,
Yeah.
basically. So if I find out about something or someone, I'm like, heck yeah, let's talk about it, because I just think it's cool to promote women's sports. And there's so many opportunities, like you said, and I think it's great to raise awareness. So, well, is there anything else you want to mention or talk about? I certainly don't want to miss any good stories or anything that you want to bring up before I let you go.
No, those are the things, guys. Just get out
Yeah.
there and explore. They have your major and your career, and they have the sports. Go and do it. Like, why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've got plenty of life to live to be an adult. Go enjoy it while you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. For real.